Welcome to another episode of Living in My Mind. My name is Dennis Henning, and if you need some help or if you're looking for some solutions, there's a number here you can call or you can text, and definitely we will work to help you in any way we can, whether it's you, family member, or whatever. Today I'm going to talk about people not being alone. So many times we think we're alone. We think we're the only one going through something. We think that we're the only one that suffers through something. I'm going to share some stories. I work in the drug and alcohol field, mental health field, and every day I have to read stories of other people in order to communicate that story to an insurance company that's going to allow me to get days authorized so that that person can have treatment and have to share their story. And no matter what the story is, I have to convince people. Now, when you're dealing with insurance companies, let me explain something to you. Everybody thinks they're the evil empire. They have evil people. It's not that the insurance is bad. The insurance industry is tired of paying for people's treatment. They're tired of paying for people who repeatedly live in treatment. Well, here's the reality. If you live in treatment, there's a problem. But I think what people don't understand, people get used to living in treatment because they know, number one, their insurance is going to pay very well. So when insurance is paying very well, why does the client have to do anything? A lot of rehab centers, they'll know that it pays very well, so they'll do the best they can to keep a client for as long as they can keep the client. Now, that's an injustice to the client as well as to this industry. It's an amazing industry. So many good people in it, and then there's a lot of people that aren't. There's a lot of people who are here just for the money. There's a lot of different variables that count. You have the rehab center, you have billing companies, you have insurance companies, you have brokers, you have so many people out there trying to make a dime. And what are they trying to make a dime off? The people who are suffering. But then you have the people who are suffering that know that, why should I get better? I can go to this rehab. I can go to that rehab. I can go to that rehab. I can go wherever I want because my insurance pays. If the insurance industry ever decided to take control of this, it would be amazing. More people would have help. More people would get healthier. More people would not be in this industry behind the scene working because they don't do the job they're supposed to do now. It's exhausting when you come across doctors and therapists, which I do on a day-to-day basis, that literally are there for the money. And you can't find a lot of people who want to work in treatment because, number one, many people who work in treatment have never been trained. It's like anything. If you have a dog and he's never been trained, how's he going to know how to act in a house, act with children, going to act with other animals? You have to train people. This industry does not train people. Colleges, they don't teach people how to work in this particular industry. It's an amazing industry, but like with any other industry, you have the good, the bad, and the extreme ugly. I have been very fortunate to work with amazing people. I've also had I've been fortunate to work with people who are at the bottom end. And the reality is it's hard for anybody to figure out who's good, who's bad. When you call a rehab center, the first thing you're going to get is someone on the line telling you what you need to hear. It's not always what you want to hear. That's the thing I want people to understand. It's not always what you want to hear. They tell you what you need to hear. When you get there, a lot of times it's a completely different story. And that's the hard thing. If you really want help, got a number here to call. I can help guide you to the best treatment that you know you're going to get the help you need, can help you figure out where to go, who you can trust, how your insurance works for you. And one of the big things is there's so many rehab centers because no one really does anything and check the background of owners. They don't check the background of the people who run them once they're up and they're running, which is really crazy if you ask me. You have so many individuals in this industry who themselves are sick. You have people who become therapists and doctors because they want to help other people or they want to find a solution for their own problems. But the problem is they don't know how to work with other people. They don't know how to communicate with other people. They really don't know how to help other people. There's a lot of narcissism in this industry. Now, I'm narcissistic to a huge degree in my ability to make a difference with the work I do. And I believe in me, I trust in me, and I know in my mind and in my work, no one's going to do it better. I look for things that no one else will look for. And I train my doctors, I train therapists. I help those people understand. Now, a lot of people don't want to because they're lazy. It's a very beautiful industry, but like anything else, there's a lot of people who just get a job and show up. And many owners or many people in charge don't really have consequences. So you have an industry that's helping others, but it doesn't help the people who work in it. And that's a tough thing. When you're trusting someone to make a difference in your life, to help you, and they're not supplying you with the tools that you need, if you're going into a treatment facility, you should have a medical doctor. You should have a nurse who's there. You should have a psychologist. You should have licensed therapists, not just intern therapists or people who are waiting to get their license. They're wonderful, they're learning, but they've not had all the experience. When it comes to something called KDAC or RAD-T, these are individuals that can do groups, they can do process groups, but they can't do therapy. A lot of places use them for therapy, which is horrific, especially in this industry. They're talented, they're great at what they do, but they're not therapists. You need to really know what to look for before you send someone, a loved one, or yourself. You should never just accept the first one that you talk to. You should call more than one. You should find out more about the facility. And it's not easy when you're trying to really figure out what's the best thing for you, because many people are so desperate, they'll go into a treatment facility not knowing what they're going to get into. But here's the worst part that happens, and this is why I want to say this. When clients get into treatment, they become codependent on the facility, on case managers or therapists, and then they don't want to leave. And the reason they don't want to leave is because they have no place to go, maybe? Maybe that's it. But it's almost another problem. They look at these people as saying, okay, you guys are doing well. You guys are healthy. You don't know the truth. You have no idea who the other person is on the other side. Some of the stories I've dealt with, I wanted to share just to let people know what's out there and how hard it is in this industry to really find a great place. There are people who love going to Malibu. Okay, last time I checked, Malibu, California never did a fucking thing for anybody. It's one of the ugliest cities in the world to me. You look at the ocean, it's beautiful. You think about that, how beautiful the ocean is. In one moment, it could take your life. Malibu is filled with a lot of different people from many different places, but people want to go to Malibu because it's a beautiful house. It's a big house. Last time I checked, I've never seen a house help somebody. Many people just want to have that, well, I went to Malibu, I went to this place, I went to that place. Really? If that's the way you want to do it, I've met many people who've been to lower end facilities that literally are the worst places that you'd want to send somebody, but they came out clean and sober. They came out with some better tools because they weren't babied. They weren't put in a position to where if they didn't want to do treatment, they didn't have to. All these very expensive places, they're out there. But the reality is a lot of this is common effing sense. Many of us addicts know what we need to do to get better. So when you go into treatment, a lot of times they're manipulating the situation that you're in to help you get what you want. But always remember this, they're getting something for it. And that's called money. And you have to, because without the money, you're not going to be able to operate a company or a business and help people. Now, I'm giving you some of the dark side of this industry. There's a lot of great things, but that's a whole different story, a whole different show. I want people to be aware of what's out there. I want you to really know what to look for, what to ask for. You need to ask what type of therapy they have. What type of staff do they have? Where they're located. Many times places are located in different places than what they tell you. And you get there and it's like, oh, depressing. Oh, it's not what it is. You want to make sure that you're getting 3 meals a day. Some places don't do that. You have a big difference between detox and residential and partial and IOP programs. Partial program is 6 hours a day. IOP is 3 hours, could be day or night. Detox and residential, it's 24 hours, 7 days a week. And the great thing is you're getting an opportunity, even if it's in a facility that you don't know much about. You are responsible to take whatever they're giving you that's positive and use it to your advantage. And here's the most important thing. If you're not getting anything from that treatment, then you need to be the one saying, look, this is what I need. Don't go into a facility blind and say you're going to follow everything they tell you, because it doesn't mean everything they say is right for you specifically. Every rehab does the same thing. They treat the same way. They all do CBT, DBT. Many do EMDR, individual sessions, group sessions, family sessions, med management, mood management. Jesus H. Christ, I get tired of hearing those words. But that's exactly what they do. Now, how they do it is a different thing. The most important thing is to realize you can call 10 different ones. You're going to get a lot of the same thing. It's the people that work there that make the difference. It's the people who are there. You can have two different people at two different facilities, same education, same background. One of them you're going to do much better with than the other because one of them's there to really help you. The other's there just because it's a job. It happens everywhere. And the most important thing, there's no such thing as an expert in this field. You've got researchers and people who want to call themselves experts, people who say they're the best at what they do, and they probably are at what they do. Remember, it's what they, the individual. It doesn't mean they, meaning their industry, they're the best. That's why you have arguments in sports. Who's the greatest athlete in any sport? Because everybody's got an opinion. Everybody brings something to the table. The most important thing you need to understand, those of us who suffer and those of us who need his help, without us, those places don't exist. Do many of the places help you get through what you need to get through? Well, one of the problems is insurance companies do not want to give a lot of days. What the insurance companies say every day to me, oh, the person's been in treatment before. And I explain to them, I don't give a damn what the person has done before. We're taking them from today and working with them. Insurance companies, when I deal with them, I deal with doctors, licensed therapists, people who went to school to learn how to be whatever it is they are. And I respect them. I'm happy for them. But you work for an insurance company, and the insurance company's main job is to make money. How are they going to make money when they're given a lot of days? So what we have to do is prove from medical necessity and behavioral issues in the past, present, and future why this person needs help. And the beauty is it's doable. You've got to be able to go to a place to where you're going to be able to sit in groups and talk to people, because groups are a big part. Your behavior in a group, just so you know, is going to translate to how you act outside of here. Individual sessions. If you're in an individual session and you have a therapist and it's the same session over and over, outside, if it's an individual therapist and you go to them outside of a treatment, that's fine. But in rehab, there's only so much time they have to really help you, so you have to help yourself. You can't just keep doing the same thing over and over and over. It's like Groundhog Day. It doesn't work that way. When you go into treatment, you've got to be ready to participate. If you're not going to win anything from it. When I say win to me means progress. You're not going to gain any tools. And if you went in with low self-esteem and you've been clean and sober for 30, 60, 90 days and you relapse, that's part of life. I would expect you to have a relapse, whether it's emotionally or with any chemical that you're using, because the only thing you know to comfort yourself like a warm blanket is the drug, is the alcohol, is the food, the sex, the gambling, whatever it is that makes you feel good, like it's a warm blanket. That's what you're going to go to. So when you go into treatment, you've got to have tools that help you address these issues head on, not sideways, not around the corner, not over the top, not under the bottom, head on. It's not easy. It's painful. It's fearful to open up to people you don't know. It's fearful to be in a group of people you don't know and talk about something that's so intimate and so personal because you think they're going to judge you. And the reason is we have residual trauma from outside. We bring that into a treatment program. We think that everybody we meet in there is going to treat us sometimes the way they treat us outside. Or it's the exact opposite. You won't believe how many people I meet and talk to that tell me I met the love of my life in treatment. Really? Okay, how'd that work? Well, things didn't work out at the end. People go in for the right reasons. People go in for the wrong reasons. Many people go in, they're lonely. Many people go in because they don't have the support system they want. And here's the other thing. When you're in treatment, if you ever come across a therapist who crosses the line, report that therapist. Report that therapist to the administrator there. Report that therapist to the state. Many therapists cross the line. There's boundaries. When you have a session with them and you're done with them, there should be no contact with them, talking to them, texting them. A lot of rehab centers have different rules in place to where you can't have communication with the therapist for up to a year or a staff member. And that's the way it should be. Then again, the therapist might have been doing really well with you. So the owners or the administration said, okay, when you leave here, you can do therapy, but you always have to have some guidelines. Remember, the people in front of you are just as sick and sometimes sicker than you who are seeking treatment. You have to remember that. And it's the truth, 100%. People don't want to hear it. People don't like it, but it is. But the beauty of this industry, there's so many people that care. And that's like with anything, whether it's religion, whether it's politics, whether it's any industry, the entertainment industry, the sporting industry, there's great people. There's people who care. There's people you can learn from. There's people that will share their experience. Then there's the other side. The drug and alcohol industry is created to help people. But many people get into it to help themselves, if that makes sense. There's so many people that open up rehabs. There really has to be better rules and better laws about who can open up a damn rehab. Communities don't like the rehabs in there because they think everybody coming there is just a bad person or, God, they're disgusting, they're an addict. No, that's not the case. There's so much that people don't understand and realize about how this industry works, from state licensing to something called joint commission to, getting all the proper things that you need with a fire department. I mean, there's so many little things. And when people open up a treatment program, what's the first thing they do? How do we get clients? That's always a tough one. You see people that want to do better and help people. Well, how are you going to market it? Many people just open them and think they're going to do well. That's not how the world is. There's 3 industries that are never, ever going to go anywhere. And if they do, that's when the world ends. Babies are going to be born. So if you have a niche in that, you're damn good. Drug and alcohol is not going anywhere. Mental health. Why? Big corporations, hospitals, big pharma, they all play a part in it. And the last one, not one any of us want to be part of, is death, at least not now. So if you're in those, you're always going to have clients. Babies are going to be born. People are going to die. There's industries that are just amazing. But the drug and alcohol industry is something special because another part of it is you have behavioral health, drug and alcohol, then you have mental health. Mental health is huge in this country now. It's been around for a long time. But the big but is only the last maybe 6-7 years have people been really working on mental health and talking about mental health and sharing mental health. And the sad part to me, it has to be maybe an athlete or a celebrity. But here's the bottom line. If you look at an athlete and you look at a celebrity, the only difference is they got a different job than you have. We don't know what they're doing behind the scene. We don't know what they're going through. But whatever they do, they're great at. Don't take away from that. But if you want to be like them, what does that say about you? Low self-esteem? You don't have the ability to love yourself the way you should. You have to make yourself into that other person. Social media has created all this wonderful, wonderful stuff for people, but it's also made the world a more dark and demented place for many different reasons. Many people want to be somebody else rather than be themselves. And so when you go into treatment, be yourself. Say what you need to, talk what you need to. You don't have to go in there and be nice to anybody. Be respectful. I went into treatment in 1994. I was the only male in this facility. I sat down one of the first meetings. I said, look, here's the bottom line. I don't really care what happens to any of you in here. I'm here for me. You'd swear to God I killed someone. The comments were just so negative, and I was selfish and self-centered. And it was okay because many people will go into treatment and they don't want to upset the milieu. The milieu is the group of people who are there. Many people are so worried about being liked. I learned a long time ago, I used to be one of those people that needed to be liked. Just so if you liked me, my life was good. Well, my life was still effed up. When you're doing something because you need something from another person, you really need to think about that. So many people use something to make them feel better about themselves because what are we missing? Self-love, self-respect, good family, relationships, a good job, a place to live. So many things cause someone to be someone called an addict. So many things happen in our lives. And being judgmental of other people, look, I'm probably been in my life the most judgmental asshole. And at times I'm still judgmental. And that's something I work on. I'm not going to pretend I'm anything different than I am. But again, remember, there's a difference between being judgmental and telling the truth. Many people don't want to hear the truth. I talk to people every day that are in treatment. They don't want to hear the truth. Well, you don't understand. Well, you're here. Something's not working. How can we help you? What can we do to help you? Well, just being here is going to make it better. No. When you don't want to get better and you just go into treatment to hide, there are places that are going to take you. If you really want to get help, there are places who will help you. I dealt with a young lady today since January of 2024. She's been in 14 different rehab centers. And she said, you don't understand. They don't know how to help me. So much trauma. It's beyond other people's imagination that this girl has gone through this. And so it's understandable, very understandable why she's gone from place to place to place. A lot of times you'll get compassionate people at the insurance companies who care and will help. But other times they're like, well, they've been in treatment before. They should have learned it. No. When you're an insurance company, your big job is to save money. There's the bottom line. No matter what anybody tells you, you have to really learn how to work with insurance companies. I'm blessed to work with amazing two guys, Evan and Link, who know how to deal with insurance companies for a company they own to help get facilities paid. Because once you get an authorization, is what I do, doesn't necessarily going to make sure you're going to get paid, but you got to do the back end. Because insurance companies will deny claims all the time. Even though you got the authorization, they'll say they're not going to pay. Another thing you need to be aware of, if you go into a rehab, make sure you get all the information up front. Make sure that if you go in, an insurance company doesn't pay, that they can't send you a bill and charge you. Because many will. Many will come after you for what they've already guaranteed you. Come on in. Here's the bottom line. Come on in. Let's do treatment. Let's work on this. Insurance is going to cover everything. Then when they don't get paid, next thing you do is get a bill. Will that destroy you? You're damn right it'll destroy you. I went into treatment once. My insurance was going to pay for everything. It didn't work that way. I got a bill for $40,000 in 1994. My mother did because I was on her insurance. That was devastating. It causes a whole nother round of mental health issues, possibly addiction issues. Oh my God, somebody else has to be responsible. Oh my God, my mother has to pay. Now, this is a guy that would steal and rob and do anything he could from anybody, manipulate, take everybody's money and not care. So you have that difference of doing things. Somebody else doing it, bad people. When I did it, didn't bother me. That's an addict. An addict is going to tell you what you need to hear many times. And remember, I just said what you need to hear. They need to know what is happening in front of them. Years ago, I had a roommate in San Francisco, and this was before credit. You had to do all these things. We had 2 phones. We go to stores, we go to different places, got all these credit cards. And the reality is we got what we wanted, the credit cards. But the one thing we didn't have is what we needed, a damn job to pay the bills. To this day, my credit is still bad because of those instances over 40 years ago. And think about it. What you need versus what you want. What you want is to be clean and to be sober. What you want is for your loved one to get help. Okay? That's another part of addiction. I have a family that I was dealing with in California. Their son, and I talked about it a little bit on a show a while ago. All these different issues. And I explained to them, you're part of the problem. You're not part of the solution. He would manipulate to tell him how he wanted to kill himself, how he wanted to do this and that, and how bad of people. They weren't bad people. They were afraid they were going to lose their son. Many addicts are great at manipulating. We can spin a story and make you feel worse than you'll ever feel in your life. We can make you believe that you did something wrong and you never did. That was my greatest gift with anyone and everything. I could avoid everything, and I made sure, no matter what I did, you're going to believe me, and if you don't believe me, that's your problem. Addicts are manipulative people. It's a fact. It doesn't mean they're bad people, because if you're sick, you're sick. You need to work on things. Any rehab that's worth its whatever you want to call it, I could use some bad words, but I won't, is going to do dual diagnosis. They're going to help you with your mental health as well as a chemical dependency. If you're going into a program that's a 12-step based program, now look, nothing wrong with 12-step. I think it's a great organization. I think it's also a predator-driven organization for many different reasons. A lot of self-help organizations, they're not run by anybody but the people who have the issues. And they do help people, but also it's a very frightening, there's some dark matter that lives in all of these 12-step programs throughout the United States and anywhere they are. Because you get to learn about people, you manipulate people, you can tell people you're clean and sober, you can tell people you haven't gambled, you can tell people you don't have a sex addiction. And what happens? You prey on other people's weakness, their needs. I went to a sex addiction meeting once, and a young lady got up to talk, and people weren't paying attention. These men in that room got up and thought it was the greatest thing. They knew exactly what this young lady went through. It was very despicable. But then again, You have men like that. You have women that do the same thing. It's not about one gender or the other. It's anybody and everybody. The rehab industry is here for a reason to help people, but you have to understand you got to help yourself. If you're a family member and you're trying to get someone to rehab, don't just get on the phone and talk to someone. Make sure you get the answers you want. If you ask 99 questions and only 97 are answered, I wouldn't go there. That's the one answer that you might need. When someone says, look, we're giving you a break. It's a $50,000 a month program. There's no program in this effing country world that's worth $50,000 a month. It's just not. Never has been, never will be. But they're going to say to you, look, you got good insurance. So what we're going to do, we're going to take $15,000 in cash. We'll bill the rest for the insurance company. Here's the kicker, what people don't know. They bill that insurance company. You paid $15,000. The insurance company pays them back $50,000. By law, if they're $35,000 a month, anything over that, they have to give back to you. There's so many things in this industry that people don't know because we're desperate. My mother gave up so much. My mother got rid of things. My mother borrowed, she begged to get me the help I needed. And I knew that, and I manipulated, and I did so many horrific things not to get better. But then again, I'm still wired differently. I'm bipolar. I've mentioned that before. It's not easy. Every damn day it gets difficult. But I'm still here. I talk about how I believe maybe my death will be a tragedy, or maybe it'll be a suicide. Those are things I think about because I know how my mind works. But I've had wonderful tools to use on a day-to-day basis because, number one, I have some wonderful people who care about me. I also deal with some amazing doctors and therapists, my own, who helps me get through those times. The drug and alcohol industry is a gift to many and a really abyss to so many others. You should really learn what you're doing. So many rehabs have closed because of fraud, insurance fraud. You have body brokering. You have people paying people to come into treatment. So if someone's paying you to come into treatment, what are they paying you for? They're not paying you to get help. They're paying you to bill your insurance. You got sober living is another big part of this industry. So many sober living communities. They're wonderful if you think about it. There's a dark side to them as well. You have drug and alcohol, you have UA testing, urine testing. I mean, there's so much more that I could into, but the one thing I want to let you know is you have to take the time to be responsible. You have to take the time to search. So if you want to find out who's good and who's bad, send a text, reach out, because I know damn well I will help you. I've never sent somebody to a rehab just because it's about money. I pick the rehabs that you need, whether it's chemical dependency, mental health issues, eating disorders. I do the research because I was someone that no one did research. And when I went into treatment, it was a nightmare. It helped me, but it was a nightmare. I've talked about a lot of things. I know it might be confusing to some people, but then again, if you're confused, there are people like myself and others that can help you. I'm not saying I'm 100% right. Let's get this straight. All I know is what I have to offer is better than what 99% of this industry has to offer. Dennis Henning, Living in My Mind. Thank you very much. Look forward to hearing from you. Any questions, anything you need, please ask, because definitely we can help you.